Oh, hi. I was on mute. Sorry about that. Good morning. So we're going to give everybody a few seconds to join, and then we will go ahead and get started. Some quick housekeeping items. This is a recorded webinar, so if you registered, you will get the presentation. And if you have any questions at all, you can reach out to Jesus Padilla. So if you have questions about the Navigator program, about receiving consulting, then feel free to reach out to him. His email will be in the chat. So if you are watching the presentation, you have any questions, we're going to save those to the end. Please make sure that you put your questions in the Q&A, not in the chat, because we'll go through the Q&A. So if you have a question, put it in the Q&A, and then that'll make sure that it gets answered at the end. Fabrizio's here. He is going to be running the chat. So you'll see he's adding some really useful information into the chat in case you are interested in a consultation. All the links and the relevant information is going to be there. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Oops. Let's go full screen so you can see that. Okay, great. So first we'll talk a little bit about the SBDC and the SBA. So the Navigator program is specifically funded in part through an agreement with the U.S. Small Business Administration, the SBA. It was established by the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. So we're using a community navigator approach. What that means is that we have a lead hub, and then we have all these spoke organizations that will help provide resources so we can kind of pool all those things together. The focus specifically for Navigator is on businesses that are owned by veterans, women, as well as socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. And these are the 7 spokes. So you have Ascendas, the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, Branches, Prospera, the SBDC, the EDC, and Startup FIU. So those are the different organizations that support the Navigator program. And our focus is mainly on businesses located in South Florida. So if you are in South Florida, then we can help you. And if you're not located in South Florida, you can reach out to Jesus Padilla. The email will be in the chat, and we'll direct you in the right direction. He'll set you up with whoever can help you in your local area. So today we're going to get started on social media, right? So why most social media advice is not actually getting you the leads and what to do instead. I think as business owners, we've all experienced, we get on social media, we think that's going to be great, that's going to help us drive our businesses, and then we're on social media and nothing happens, right? It's crickets. So today what we're going to cover is how to choose the right social media platform, specifically what content to create, and then what metrics you should track to determine if what you're doing makes sense. So why does social media matter for small businesses? Well, it's a great way to engage with customers directly, right? They're already on social media, so you might as well talk to them. Your clients may actually find you on social media first. So there's a discoverability piece as part of social media. So they can find you there, and then maybe that's how they get interested. They go to your website or they find out more about you. And obviously, these days we have a lot of different content types that you can use to showcase your business. Obviously, the platforms are always expanding and they're evolving. So we have reels, we have videos, we have stories, we have posts, we have polls, we have all these different features that will help us accomplish different things. So the popular advice out there is that you should be on all the platforms doing all the things, but we know that as a small business, that's just not really practical. And it's not also the best strategy. That will get you to burn out very quickly, and then you will hate social media and you won't want to do it. So these are a handful of the different platforms that we have out there, and imagine trying to keep up with all of them, right? As a small business, you don't have the resources of a Coca-Cola, right? If you are Coca-Cola, you're a multinational business, you have tons of resources to dedicate to social media, and then yeah, you could be on all these platforms. But even just last week, Threads was launched, which is basically Facebook/Meta's version of Twitter. So that's another thing that we're adding to the list, right? And so if you try to be on all of these, you're just going to spread yourself really thin. So social media can be a lot simpler than we make it. It can feel like a lot. It can feel very overwhelming. And the secret to what you should be talking about on social media and how to approach it is very simple. It's to speak passionately about what you do as a business and why you do it. That will help you because when you tap into that level of passion that you have for your business, you're not going to be struggling to find what to say. It'll sound a lot more genuine. You'll come across a lot more real, right? Like people will have believability of what you're saying. And the second part of that is to remind people why they need it, right? We need to connect the dots for people. You are living and breathing your business every single day. So for you, you might know all the ins and outs of why somebody needs your product or your service, but the people on the other side don't. So we need to really make it clear why it is that they need to work with you or buy from you. So let's talk about how you should decide on a platform. The first thing you want to consider is where are your customers hanging out online, okay? So think about your key customer, the person that you are trying to reach and the person that you want to sell to. And then think about where are they actually spending time, right? So you don't have to be on a platform if it doesn't match where your person is hanging out. A lot of B2B businesses feel like they have to be on Instagram when maybe LinkedIn might be a better option for you. So think about that. Who am I trying to talk to and where are they going to be online? So here's just kind of a quick cheat sheet. LinkedIn, great for B2B. It's great for decision makers. So let's say you sell to corporations and you have to get to that decision maker. They are probably on LinkedIn, right? Corporate employees or people that are in that kind of more professional space, they're going to be on LinkedIn. On Instagram, you have more consumer facing a platform. It's very visual. Obviously, we know if you're on Instagram, how easy it is to just get sucked in and you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling forever. So it's a very interactive type of platform. You can do a lot in the stories and it's a very informational place, right? People kind of go there to receive information and also be entertained. Facebook, obviously we have Facebook groups. I would say that's the biggest plus side of Facebook these days. Not many people are really on Facebook just to be on there and consuming content, but it's a great way to build a community if you want to have kind of a private Facebook group of your clients or potential customers or fans of your product. And then of course, you know, the ads targeting, that's a reason to at least have an account on Facebook. You don't necessarily have to be posting on it, but if you're going to do ads, then Facebook is a good idea. Pinterest is really great if you want to get discovered because really the primary purpose is to drive traffic and people go there looking for really specific things. So if you think about it, it's basically like a visual Google. And so people want to be on Pinterest because they're looking for something really specific. And so that way your pins associated to your business can help them find you. And then TikTok is really, really great with their algorithm. So they're good at discoverability. That means that you don't have to kind of pay to play. With Instagram, you sometimes have to pay in the form of ads to really grow that audience. But on TikTok, just based on the content that you're promoting, you can end up getting a lot of views without necessarily having the audience, right? You don't have to build the audience first to then get the views. You can be very small, but still have an impact. There's a lot of special interest, right? There's TikToks for all kinds of subject matters. And it tends to be for a more young demographic, though I think that that is changing as people are adopting it more. And then Twitter is very discussion focused. It's news, it's opinions, it's good for thought leadership. It's good for having conversations with people kind of one-on-one. So we know social media takes effort and strategy to get it right. So what I would suggest you focus on is quality. Don't try to be everywhere. It's just going to be impossible. And find whatever sweet spot there is for you and focus your efforts here, right? So I think a good number is 1 to 2 platforms, depending on your goals, especially if you are the main person posting your social media, really stick to 1 or 2. We have great tools now like AI that can help you create content even faster. So that's wonderful. But I would still focus on 1 or 2, getting good at those before you start branching out. So again, where are your people hanging out? It might not be Instagram. It might not be TikTok, right? Don't feel pressure to follow the trends unless those trends are impacting your business. because at the end of the day, you are a business, you're not an influencer. So if you want to reach that right audience and you want them to actually buy, you need to make sure you're on the right platform, right? It's great that people might like your stuff, but you want people to turn into customers. Otherwise, you're just creating content for the sake of it and for the platform. Okay, so let's move on to the second part of this conversation today, and that's going to be, what do I post? So the content needs to support your business goals. So that might be generating leads, sales, experiencing growth. Most people kind of think of it from those ideas of being a content creator versus being a business. And technically you are creating content, but you have to think about what your actual business goals are, right? Social media is a step that is part of a customer journey. That means maybe they find you on social media, but then the next step is to be able to actually talk to that person and make them a customer. So maybe the next step is they get on your email list, or they get on a webinar with you, or they get on a call with you, right? You have to kind of think of, what is my purpose with social media, and what is it that I want them to do after they engage with me on social media? So your content needs to drive back to that problem that you solve for them, right? You can't, you can post pictures of your breakfast. That's fine. That creates a human connection, but you need to be creating content that really speaks to the problem that you're solving, so that people understand, oh, okay, this isn't just another face on social media. This is a business, and maybe they have something that I need or that I'm looking for. So this is a quick check for you if you are posting on social media. Are you talking about what you sell? Like a lot more than you're comfortable with. You should be talking about what you sell every single time that you post, if not more often. Are you including a clear call to action? People literally need to be told what to do. If you have a restaurant, you can post a picture of the food, but then you need to say, call us to book your reservation, right? You need to actually spell it out. I know it sounds silly, but you have to tell them what you want them to do. Click on the link in the bio to book a consultation. Come into the store for a fitting. Like, make sure that you're including that language. Don't assume they're just going to know. Then the last one is, does your ideal client know from your posts what type of result you provide? So you want to be incorporating testimonials, and you want to talk about the kinds of things that you are getting for clients, right? There's a great book that's called Show Your Work. And that's part of it, is because we're in the day-to-day, we talked about this a little earlier. Oh, sorry, there's a cat coming into the screen. Because we're in the day-to-day, it can feel a little bit like we are, we're really close to it. So you have to remind yourself and remind other people, what are the things that you're doing that you're accomplishing, and talk about those things. Don't forget about it. So the content that you post is going to depend on the platform and what's available, meaning how that platform wants you to post content, pretty much. So take advantage of what it lets you do. So for example, on Instagram and TikTok, they're pushing videos. So you're going to have a better result if you are also promoting videos and you're creating reels, for example. All right, on Instagram, we have Instagram stories. Use all the different features of that, right? They have polls and they have those little question stickers for people to respond to you. Use that to your advantage to actually talk to people. On LinkedIn now, they actually have a lot of options, especially if you set your account up as a creator. You can post a mixture of text and video. You can do polls, you could do longer articles. So there's a lot of kind of rich options for you on LinkedIn these days. So these are the three main types of content that you can focus on as a small business. The first one is the problem that your customers have. So, let's say 5 reasons why your marble floors look dull, or why your manicure keeps chipping, let's say if you have a salon. The second one is the services and products that you provide to solve that problem. So, need help with your accounting? Like, we help e-commerce businesses, right? Or you can tell a story, like why Rosa hired us to cater her 50th anniversary party, right? That's a great example because it tells people why you were hired, but then also gives people context. So they think, oh yeah, I have a party coming up, maybe I'll contact this caterer. And the last one is, what makes your business different? So you could say our products are made using a scratch resistant material, or come experience a workout that you'll actually stick to, right? What is it that makes your product or service unique? And you want to talk about that a lot. So now you might be thinking about the relatable content, like, shouldn't I be posting relatable content too? And yes, you can, but the focus has to be on what you're selling first and foremost. You can be relatable and you can sell at the same time. Especially these days on social media, people want to kind of see the person behind the scenes and what you're up to. But you want to make sure that you're not just doing that alone, right? Sometimes, as businesses, we feel like, well, I have to post something. So I'm going to post a happy Memorial Day, happy 4th of July. Like, that's fine. But you have to make sure that you're doing more with your content and that you're actually selling in your content. So here's some examples. This was a video that Honest Company posted, and it was promoting a reward program, but it was done as kind of like a fake conversation between two people. So it looked like a text messaging exchange about the rewards program. So don't be afraid to get creative with your content. We have tools like Canva that have tons of different options. You can use ChatGPT to help you come up with content ideas if you're stuck, right? You can actually ask it like, hey, help me come up with content ideas for my business, and it will spit out a bunch of options for you. So don't be afraid to be creative when you are speaking to that. And I want to also point out here in the caption where they said, head to the link in bio to learn more and sign up, right? So again, they're telling people exactly what to do next. Here's another one. This is for a company. It's called Honeybook. It is a CRM for small businesses and online businesses. And so here they're talking about a new feature that they just added, right? Again, this is about showing your work, right? So if there's something new, maybe you have a new product or you're offering a new service, talk about that, right? And so this particular video, it showed a bunch of different faces of, oh, I'm so surprised, I'm so happy. And in the caption here, they will tell you the benefits of why this feature is good. So it says, with just one file, you can now collect all the information you need upfront and allow your clients to schedule and instantly pay for their session, all without lifting a finger, right? So it's telling you why you might need this or why it's important. This is from WeWork. Okay, so numbers are good. I'm sure you've seen that on social media. It's like 5 ways to do this or 7 ways to do that. So this one was 5 things that you don't need to worry about if you have an office with WeWork, right? And you have a membership. So they talk about things like, you don't have to worry about maintenance. You don't have to worry about tech support. You don't have to worry about buying furniture for your office, or you don't have to worry about supplies. Okay. In this one, they didn't really put too much in the caption. That's okay. Most of the juicy information is in the actual video itself. This is a local restaurant. And so they're announcing that they have specials, right? So this is in the stories. So they're saying, hey, all weekend long, we're going to have huevo rancheros. Come check it out, right? So remember too that you need to remind people what you're offering again and again. People need to see things at least 7 to 13 times before it even registers that they might want to buy. Okay. So a lot of times you might be getting discouraged because you're not seeing anything happening. Just keep posting and keep doing it, and eventually things will catch on. This is a shoe brand called Greats. And here I wanted to point out the fact that they lead with the value proposition. So this was just a static image, but they talk about why their shoe is important, right? So that they talk about how it's made in Italy, but that they have a local partnership with suppliers, and that's why they get access to these artisans, and it's premium leather. So make sure that you're talking about why your product or your service is good. This is the same shoe company, and I just wanted to show you how clean their page looks with all the little icons in the highlights. The way that they're doing the photography, that's another thing that we need to talk about with social media, is making sure that you're presenting things in the best light, because it is a visual platform. But all of those little highlights help them sell. So your customers might have questions, put the answers in the highlights so that they can find them, right? Another thing we talked about earlier was testimonials and reviews. So you can include a review that you received, just screenshot it. You can tell the story of the person if they're comfortable with that, right? This is again an example from Honeybook. And so this testimonial is used to promote the fact that they have a special offer. So if you're going to run a special offer, let's say it's like a 20% discount to new customers or first-time customers, you can do what Honeybook did here. If you read the caption, it says, want to know what all the hype is about? For a limited time, you can join Honeybook for just $1 a month for your first 6 months, right? So they're promoting that they have this limited time offer, and they have the testimonial that helps create credibility. People are actually vouching for it, and that's a good way for you to approach specials that you might be running. This is company that makes these doormats, but they have these little tiles and you can customize it. It's kind of an interesting product. And so they were using social media in the stories to talk about how to clean it. So they're answering questions that people might have, like what's really the best way to clean it. And so they showed a video of how you actually clean it. And then on the example on the right, they had the countdown clock because they had a new launch coming up. And so that's something else you can do. If you're launching a service or a product, you can do a countdown clock in the story. So this is just an example of different ways to use the features. And I know I'm focusing mainly on Instagram on here. There are features across the board on all of the platforms. This is just a concept for you to implement, right? It's not just Instagram specific. You would do the same thing. LinkedIn, for example, doesn't have a countdown clock, but they have a poll. So you could do a poll and ask people questions. It's really just about leaning into what the tools let you do. So this was actually a LinkedIn post, and this is a stylist. And so she uses LinkedIn because, of course, she's a stylist. There are a lot of women on LinkedIn that go to work and may want styling advice. So she positions herself as an expert, right, and providing value. So on LinkedIn, you can post a lot longer types of content. I wouldn't necessarily write a novel on there, but you can make your content a little bit longer than on Instagram, for example. And so this one, she did a quick little explainer about how to get more wear from the clothes that you have that are just special occasion and how to actually maximize your closet. This one is from a jewelry company. I wanted to show you that they have the clear call to action. So in this example, they're showing you a necklace that's on sale for today only. So they're doing kind of a flash sale thing, and they have the code for you right there, right? So you can just go and immediately do it. You know, flash sales are a good thing to experiment if you have products and just see what happens with it. But you want to give everybody the information that they need. You don't want people to be left wondering, well, how do I do this? Because then people are lazy and they're not going to do it. So you need to really spell it out for them. Okay, so some of the key takeaways is to use video, connect with customers by talking about the problem and how you solve it. And I wanted to show you that you can be relatable and sell. Those examples will show you that. So let's talk about metrics. I don't think you need to go too crazy with metrics, but you want to just have an idea of what's working well so that you can replicate it and you can do more of that. So we're going to think like a business owner, not an influencer. So the number of followers you have doesn't actually matter. You could have 1 million followers, but if none of them are your target market, then what's the point, right? If none of them are going to buy from you, then that's great. Those people are just kind of sitting there. So the quality of your followers actually is what really matters. So how do we measure if the quality of your followers? You want to make sure that things are actually happening, right? So you are ending up in conversations, they're taking action, you're getting questions, you're getting DMs. So some of the things that we would look at are comments. Do people resonate with what you're posting? Or link clicks, if you have a link in bio, or you're posting, let's say on LinkedIn, and you have a link to an article or to your website, or on Pinterest, you're posting a link to your website. Do people click on that? Okay. Messages, are people reaching out to you through whatever private messaging for that platform? Are they asking you questions? Are they actually engaging with you? Okay. Remember, you can have hundreds of thousands of followers and you could have 0 customers. And at that point, you're really just creating content, but you're not actually generating revenue for your business. And once you're posting and you're doing this, you can use the numbers to help you with content creation, right? You can look at what are the most popular posts that I did this month. Maybe you want to do similar content as that, right? Try to find out what those patterns are. Maybe you posted a bunch of how-to type of content that did really well. Great. How can we take that a step further and then now make sure that we're selling as part of that? If you see, for example, a post that did really well, but it's not supporting sales, that's what we're talking about. We want to see how can we make that sales focused? How can you kind of shift the messaging so the next time you do it, maybe something happens with a sale. Viral and going viral, that's not the goal here. You don't need to appeal to everyone, only to your ideal customer. You know, if you're going viral for the sake of it, that's great. But if, for example, people get really excited about your product or service, that's another thing, right? We don't want to track the same kind of metrics that we would in a traditional influencer business, unless that is actually your business, right? And that's a whole separate conversation. So how do we put all this together? The first thing is to focus on your message. So what are you trying to say? Talk about how you're going to explain whatever it is that you want to say. Maybe you want to talk about some of the success that your clients have had. So that would be a testimonial post, or you could do a video and explain and tell the story. Or you can take that same concept and you can do a carousel, right? Or you can do a link post. Anything that you're doing can live in various forms. So don't think of each post as like, oh, I have to come up with a brand new idea for every single thing. Take something and just do it again in all of the different formats. Let's say you do a how-to video. Great, you did it as a video. Now turn that into an article and put it on LinkedIn, or turn it into a carousel and post it again. Recycle so that you're not going crazy. Okay. The next step is for you to figure out realistically how often can you post during the week. Okay, don't set yourself this really high standard that you're not going to be able to manage, because anybody who's tried to run social media, you know that it's a lot more work than it seems. There's a lot of nitty gritty little things that go into it. I mean, you could spend 45 minutes alone trying to figure out a Canva template, right? So make sure that whatever you're going to do is actually doable for you. Maybe that's once or twice a week. It doesn't really matter how often, as much as the fact that you're consistent with it. So try to pick something you can realistically stick to, and then use the scheduling tools to help you. Nowadays, a lot of the platforms have scheduling available. So you can schedule on LinkedIn, you can schedule on Instagram. You don't need to necessarily invest in these tools, but they will help you. And sometimes they provide additional metrics that might be useful for you in the future. And then the last step is to organize your content using a content calendar, right? Thinking ahead, what is it that you want to promote this month? Maybe you have a sale, or if you're an accountant and you know tax season is coming up, maybe you want to start seeding and planting the seeds for people to become your clients, right? So think about your sales cycles and different promotions that you might do, and then base the calendar off of that. This is an example of a content calendar. It doesn't have to be really in depth. It's just a way for you to get all of your ideas out and put them on paper. And if you have other team members that need to look at it, everybody can be looking at the same thing. So in this one, it's broken down by the platform and then the date, right? And this is a really nice, just very simple, basic template that you could use. So I'm going to move to questions. Let's see, let's look at my Q&A. I have a few in here. Okay, so Sarah Dennis, can you please provide the AI tool? So the AI tool that I'm talking about mainly is ChatGPT. Okay, so that is pretty much, let me just put this here. If you haven't played around with ChatGPT, definitely go to ChatGPT. Can you go back to the last slide? Let me do that while we're talking. There are tons and tons of AI tools. So what I recommend, ChatGPT for most basic things is great. If not ChatGPT, then another option for you is there's a website that's called There's an AI for That. That's actually what the URL is. There's an AI for that.com. Google it if it doesn't come up, but it's called There's an AI for That. And then you can sort depending on what you're trying to do. So it's basically a website that collects all of the AI tools that exist. And then let's say, oh, I need one for video editing. You can search by video editing and it'll tell you all the AIs that do that. Or I need something to help me crunch numbers. Like, okay, here are all the AIs that will help you do that. Okay. So those are some of the AI tools that you can leverage. Okay, Kyra, can a business be a hybrid between influencer and business? Yes, I mean, we know that a lot of influencers have business, right? They have product lines that they launch, or they have partnership deals and things like that. But I would say in that case, influencer business, it depends on ultimately what it is that you're selling, right? Like, are you an influencer first or are you a business first? It doesn't mean that you can't be a personality, right? If you're the face of your business and you're a business owner, then great. Like, you are sort of an influencer, but I would say it's defined more by what you're actually selling. So if you have products and services that you sell, really you want to think more like a business, and you as the face of the business, absolutely you can be relatable and you can show up and all of that, but it depends on what is that primary business activity. If it's a service or product that you're selling, then I think you lean more on kind of like the business side. If it's more like lifestyle focused, then that might lean more on the influencer side. But yeah, absolutely, hybrids exist. I think you just need to know which one you feel more inclined to so that you know kind of what metrics to track. And that might change throughout the year. Maybe there's period of the year that you sell because you have a launch, and then other times you're just doing more of the influencer type things and doing sponsorships, right? That might kind of shift, but that will dictate the sort of metrics that you look at. So hopefully that answered your question. Okay, next, how do we stay up to date with all the changes that happen on platforms, particularly Instagram? So great question. Instagram will usually tell you what those updates are. So one of the guys from Instagram who leads up all these changes, his name is Adam Mansouri, something like that. If you follow those people, they will always tell you what those updates are and what's coming out and what's happening on those platforms. Aside from that, I would say you can look into newsletters, right? So there are newsletters that are available where people talk about industry trends and things like that. So there might be a newsletter that's focused on social media that would help you stay up to date, or even setting up a Google alert. You can do that. That will help you stay up to date. Usually the big ones, you'll know about, right? Like Reels was the biggest thing. Threads happened last week, which was the next biggest thing. After that, we don't know. But there are little updates here and there. There are also influencers and content creators that just focus on this. And so if you follow a few of those people, they will always let you know kind of what's coming out and what to look for. How to do the icon highlights. Okay, so the icon highlights, let me see if I can go back to that slide. Give me a second, just so that everybody's on the same page here. Okay, so these little icons, you can create those on Canva, okay? Basically, you create an image for each one, and then you have to upload it separately. So when you go to actually create the highlight, there's a little place for you to choose the image, and so you can go ahead and do that. So that's how you would create the highlights. And it's really nice if the highlights can match your branding, or they're consistent, like they're uniform, they have your brand colors. So if you search that on Canva, the Instagram highlights, you will find the way to make those. Okay. I think I have added everything. I've answered everything. Unless you have any more questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. Somebody, Fabrizio, said they weren't able to see the links in the chat, so I don't know if list the post. So I'm not sure. Yeah, so people can get that. So if you would like to set up an appointment and you want to work on your social media, you can reach out to go ahead and do that. I think everybody's just putting that in there so that they can go ahead and schedule a time so we can go through all of this. Yes, absolutely, we can do that. So you can definitely request a consultation with me. They'll get you set up there. Jesus will get you set up, and then we can go over your social media and we can look at this more in depth. So his email is there. That's the email that you want to email, Jesus Padilla, okay? So jpadilla@fiu.edu. Make sure you copy paste that from the chat. He is the one that can get you to me. So also, just coming up here, I will read this off. So on July 19th at 1 o'clock, there's going to be a marketing 101 about obtaining and retaining customers. So that's a great workshop for you guys to check out. And the very next webinar is going to be on July 17th. That one is going to be 10 steps to marketing your new business. So if you want to register for those, the links are also in the chat. Remember that this is recorded, so you will get the presentation. If you have any questions or you wanted to go back to anything, you can look through it there. And again, Jesus Padilla, that's the email if you want to set up some time with me. So unless there are any other questions, I think we'll wrap up. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. And we will see you in future SBDC events, webinars, or we'll see you on client calls. All right, everybody, have a great day. See you all later.